Hey friends, it is good to be with you. It is Read Through the Word. It is January the 26th. Yes, we are more than halfway through the first month of Read Through the Word. And we are still in the idea of kind of not really the same idea of confession of yesterday, but we do have that H word again in our lesson today, humble. And I'm going to pull in some other texts today. As I was studying and preparing for this lesson, it dawned on me that there's a similar conversation from another person that we haven't yet read about, but maybe many of you have read about this person and maybe even this particular text. But another person had a similar conversation with God about himself, and the approaches between these two people were completely different. So Job is demanding or requesting an audience with the Almighty. He thinks he's ready to hear what God says. Now let's see, there's 40 chapters in Job, so we're still far way out. There's still a lot of conversation. Yeah, there's 42. There's still a lot of conversation left to be had, but he's ramping up. He's ramping up to have a conversation with the Almighty. He says, "Now summon me, and I will answer," he says to God. And then he says, "Or," really, you're going to give God an alternative, but anyways, "or let me speak to you, and you reply." Okay? So that over in the King James, I thought it was really interesting. King James translated this as, verse 22 is this: "But I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to reason with God." Oh, how dangerous to put that word out in the atmosphere. Don't put that word out there. I mean, I know you're thinking it. He knows our thinking. He's omniscient. He knows our thinking. But to me here, he is giving his friends even more ammunition to just batter him. And you'll see, like I said, we're only on chapter 13 and we got 42 to go. There's a lot more conversation to be had here, but he's just giving them some ammunition. But oh my, dare to reason with God. And just if you'll listen to his tone, I'm not going to read all of chapter 13 to you, or that part of the conversation, because it goes all the way through verse 22, 14:22. But he is like firing off the questions. Why do you turn away from me? Why did you treat me as your enemy? Who would you terrify leaf blown by the wind? And would you terrify a leaf blown by the wind? Would you chase dry straw? You write bitter accusations against me, and you can read this. Okay, so this is Job, and then we have another man. His name's David, and over in Psalm, right after 2 Samuel 12, this isn't our chronological Bible, chapter 12, David is confronted with his sin. Nathan has confronted him with his sin of adultery and murder. And if you don't know that story yet, we'll get to that. So I'm not going to give you all the details, but he messed up. And the priest called him out on it. So you might say he had a friend that came up to him and said, "Something's going on here, you know." And he called him out on it. And David's response is this: "Have mercy on me, O God. Because of your unfailing love, because of your compassion, blot out the stain of my sins, wash me clean from my guilt, and purify me from my sin, for I recognize my rebellion, it haunts me night and day." And then he goes on, "Purify me from my sins, I will be clean." And he says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, renew a loyal spirit or steadfast spirit within me, and don't banish me from your presence, and don't take away your Holy Spirit from me." If you get a chance to read Psalm 51, read that today. In your chronological Bible, it's on April the 26th. So if you want to pop over there sometime today and read that. Also, you might want to take a look at Psalm 32. It's another way that David responded to his sin. Completely different than Job is now. Now, Job will get to a place where his tone changes. It does. But it's quite a while before it does. So this is something that we need to think. Is before we demand an audience with the Almighty, first of all, we really don't need to be demanding anything from God. But before we ask, maybe we'll soften the word, before we ask for an audience with the Almighty, we need to humble ourselves rather than being haughty. And we talked about humiliation yesterday and that role, humiliation, the role of confession. But we also need to be humble when we come to Him and say, hey, what's going on here? Instead of trying to reason with God and demand something from Him, let's not be haughty about it. Let's be humble about it. And then secondly, here's the thing, is you better be prepared to hear the truth. Because God don't lie. God does not lie. And if you want to know the truth, you better be prepared to hear it. There's a movie Jack Nicholson was in many years ago, and the name of the movie is escaping me. But he's famous for the line, he's on the stand and he's being accused by Tom Cruise, and he says, I deserve the truth. You can't handle the truth, he says, right? He's like the highest guy up in whatever branch of the armed service that he was in. A few good men. You were probably feed me the words, right? A few good men. You can't handle the truth, that line. You've got to be ready to handle it. And I remember when I started really following hard after God in my early 30s. I was probably 33 or 34 maybe. And I remember running across the verses in Joel chapter 2 verses 12 and 13, talking about rending your heart to God, not your garments. In other words, don't fake your confession. Don't fake your neediness of God. Come to Him and bring Him your heart. Give Him your heart. And I remember reading that verse going, okay, I'm going to give you my heart. Oh, and I was serious. I didn't know what I was saying. I knew what I was saying, but I didn't know the depth. I knew what I was saying, but I didn't know the depth to what I was saying. Because He quickly revealed to me truth of who I was. And I was utterly humiliated and completely wiped. You could wipe the floor with me. And He didn't just dump it on me, because that's not how the grace of God works. The grace of God works. And I fully believe this, because I'm not the only one that has experienced this. When we go to Him with the right kind of attitude, Lord, show me where my sin is. Show me what I've done that has disappointed you. And we go to Him with the right humility and the right humbled spirit and the right heart. We've prepared our hearts, like we talked about yesterday. He's not going to heave all of our ugliness on us. Oh, I'm so glad. I don't know how long it would take me to get up from the ugliness of myself. It slayed me. The little pieces that He would reveal to me slayed me. And it took me so long to work through these revelations of who I was apart from Him. And I don't mean apart from Him as in not saved. I mean apart from Him as not surrendered to Him. And apart from His Spirit, from the Spirit's work in my life. So don't go to Him all haughty and pious and, oh, help me and tell me, because He's going to. And you need to be ready for it. So my counsel here is, if you make sure you really want to know, I want you to know, because I want you to know the freedom that comes with that knowledge after that confession, after that comes a revelation comes to you, and you surrender to the Spirit's work in your life to purify that and to allow that to be exhumed from you. I want you to experience that freedom. I know what that's like. I want everybody to experience that freedom. But it comes with a warning. Be ready. Be ready to hear it. And don't get all mad at God when you go and ask him for it and he tells you. Don't get all mad at him. Because you asked him and he loves you and he's going to tell you. But he not just tell you and leave you out there. That's what I love about him. He tells you in a loving way, and he left the Spirit in you to help you get rid of that or to change that and transform you. Metamorphosis is what it's called in Romans 12 too. It's a metamorphosis. That transforming. And he'll do it. Oh, and there's nothing better than that. But we have to be humble, not haughty, and we have to be ready to hear the truth and not try to sit there and reason and justify why you are the way you are, why you did what you did. It doesn't matter. Confess it. Ask him to help you get rid of it. And then live for him. And be patient on it. I mean, I'll be patient on it. I mean, I look back and I think, I had 30-something years to get all myself messed up. It was going to take me. It's still taking me. I'm going into the second decade now after those revelations, and I'm still working on these issues. And I'm so grateful for his long suffering with me. Because I mess up still in those same areas. Not as bad as I used to. I'm better than I was, but I'm not where I want to be. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you the next time on Read Through the Word.